Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Today we're going to talk about Hayden Christensen.
Never heard of him.
You know, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader.
Who?
I can say Darth Vader now because he's actually played Darth Vader.
Multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
He played him back in the prequels too. He was in the suit.
That one time.
Yeah, that one time, Matt.
It's not really playing Vader, though, that time.
What do you mean it's not playing Vader?
Whatever.
He's the one who got to scream no.
No! Yeah. Whatever.
Jeez.
Okay, so he did an interview with the Dagobah Dispatch, which is Entertainment Weekly's Star Wars podcast. He could come and be on our show if he ever feels like it. Hayden, it's open invitation.
Pretty much anybody. Like, I think we're... Like, if you're in any way attached to Star Wars, like, you serve them lunch once, like, yeah, come on in, talk about Star Wars.
Story? Come on.
Talk with anybody about Star Wars.
They talked to him about, like, his return in Ahsoka. Like, what was it like playing an older, wiser version of the character? What was it like creating the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka? And getting to swing his lightsaber again.
Vroom, vroom.
No pun intended.
Why is that a pun?
It's not a pun.
That's
why I said no pun intended.
Well, there wasn't none that could be extrapolated, I don't think.
Sure,
I hope not,
sure.
anyway.
Well, in regards to the World Between Worlds, episode 5, or part 5, or whatever you want to call it, of Ahsoka, he got to teach her lessons kind of through a flashback scenario. Nobody is really sure what that lesson was, but he taught something.
I want to live.
Yes.
That's good. We didn't know you had any desires to not live, but okay.
I didn't know she had gone down the dark road.
I didn't know either, but apparently
Okay.
she was contemplating some dark things.
Poor Ahsoka. Well, what he said about that episode playing Anakin then is, I was getting to play a version of this character that I hadn't done before. And when we meet Anakin in the World Between Worlds, it's sort of me getting to play the totality of Anakin and Darth Vader. It's an understanding of everything that he's been through. And then we go back to the Clone Wars flashback. That was just awesome. That was a character that I was aware of when we were doing the prequels.
Wait, what? Go on. I'm sorry. We'll talk about that one in a second.
When we went to go do episode 3, George Lucas spoke a lot about what had happened between 2 and 3. And of course, that was what Dave Filoni spent a lot of time exploring in the animated world, but I never really got to play that part. And I remember when George was describing Anakin during the Clone Wars as being this great hero and a great leader, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. I wish we could see a little bit of that. And we do a little bit. At the beginning of episode 3, you get a taste of it, and then very quickly he becomes consumed with all of the inner conflict again. And then when I went and was preparing for Obi-Wan, I went and watched the Clone Wars and got to see that version of Anakin. I was very taken with it, and I thought, man, that'd be really exciting to get to do that in live action. And so when Dave told me we were going to do that, it was a real gift, and I just felt very privileged to get to do it.
Was I not listening, or did you just imply that Hayden said George told him about Anakin? Or did I just misinterpret that because I was zoning out or something?
You did not. He did say when they went to shoot episode 3, George spoke a lot about what happened in between episodes 2 and 3. So I feel like, yes, George kind of tried to tell him about this vision he had of Anakin during the Clone Wars.
Okay.
I never knew that before.
Anyway, yeah, I think I'm mishearing things or something.
Thor. Maybe if you weren't so high off the ground with your lofty 6'4", you'd listen to me.
Exactly, you're so short I can barely hear you up here. By the way, it's going to be raining soon.
What? Oh, gosh. You're horrible. I like that Anakin really... I'm just calling him Anakin. I like that Hayden really follows his character.
Yeah, that's always cool. We've talked about that before. It's kind of nice when the actors kind of get into their character. Not just like because I'm doing this role, but an actual kind of fan of themselves. I know that. I had to say it in a way that sounded conceited, but you know what I'm saying.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
I like that he watched the Clone Wars. I like that he went and decided, hey, you know what? I want to know what my character went through during the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, George obviously gave him a little peek behind the curtain about what he was thinking Anakin was like during that time. But now to full-on watch it and go, look at that, I had a Padawan. Obi-Wan was quipping all the time.
Yeah.
There's this chick named Ventress all of a sudden. What's going on here?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Look at this relationship with me and Padme. We actually spoke more than once with maybe a few less awkward conversations.
Yeah. Maybe, conversations that didn't include sand or,
Maybe.
other stuff.
I'd like to think he would throw sand into every conversation, honestly.
He wouldn't throw sand anywhere. He doesn't like sand.
Oh, you're not.
I know.
No,
I'm having a day here.
You are. Next, Hayden kind of discussed how he approached the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka. Obviously, it was one he hadn't experienced in live action before and had to reference the Clone Wars when he was doing this.
Yeah.
So what he said about that was establishing the dynamic between Anakin and Ahsoka. The stakes were high because there were a lot of people that were already invested in that relationship, and it was the first time we're getting to see it in live action. I loved getting to do that. It's a side of Anakin that's just very compelling, very confident, and I think he's a good teacher to Ahsoka, and you see that he really does care about her. So it was important for us to get that across too. But Rosario and I go back. We met each other when we were both teenagers, so there's this natural kind of rapport there, and it was really cool to get to do this with her. And then with Ariana Greenblatt, too. When we were doing the stuff with young Ahsoka, she was phenomenal. They couldn't have cast the role better. So it was all set up for us to win. That was a great feeling, and I just loved how Dave conceived it and guided us through it. And the end result, I was very happy with. I loved how it came out. I actually really, if one thing in the entire Ahsoka series, I really liked the flashback sequences with him and our young Ahsoka. She was really good. She was able to move in a way that was mimicking the way that Ahsoka could move as best a live-action human being can do.
Ever do an animated
comparing
character,
to an animated character. And I thought the two of them had that right kind of, like, they were posing in the right poses. It had that iconic feel.
Well, what I think really worked is that she was a good Ahsoka. She kind of had a little bit of that attitude, too, just the way she presented herself. But I feel like Hayden channeled a little bit of Matt Lanter Anakin in that. Mm-hmm. He kind of felt a little looser maybe than he did sometimes as, back in the prequels, Anakin.
Yeah.
No, you know how, Matt Lanter's got a different...
He's grown, obviously, an actor since then, too.
Well, certainly. But my point is, like, Matt Lanter kind of plays a more looser feeling Anakin.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
He's a mentor, but he was also kind of like a friend, a buddy.
Yeah, he's a lot kind of... there's just something about the way he does the character that's more kind of fun. Like, than Anakin,
cool
or Hayden did.
Anakin,
yes. Yeah. Nothing against Hayden's performance in the prequels or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, Matt Lanter brought something a little different to the role, so it was kind of cool to see Hayden kind of doing that a little bit.
To channel that performance.
Yeah, I thought it worked really well. It kind of really bridged that gap between those two. It felt good. I liked that.
I definitely agree. Last thing that Hayden talked about was the excitement he had getting to do more lightsaber action sequences. He absolutely loves it. When he saw the script calling for it, it was like a kid on Christmas. He said, any chance I get to swing a lightsaber is an awesome opportunity. And when I was reading the script for the first time of episode 5, I was like a giddy little boy. I was like, oh, I'm going to get to do all this awesome action. And I couldn't sit down. I was pacing around the room just reading the script. And I remember putting it down halfway through and messaging Dave, and I was just thanking him profusely.
Cool.
He even did his move. His Anakin spin that nobody knows why Anakin does it, but he does it, and it's great.
Because he likes spinning. It's a nice trick.
It's a neat trick.
Yes, it's a neat and cool trick, yes.
We all know
that, yes.
Because everyone looks at it and goes, what's he doing? Why did he just swing his saber behind his... Nobody knows.
Spinning.
It's great.
Because he's spinning.
He just does it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a neat trick.
Yeah.
I always love getting interviews with Hayden because he's just so attached to his character and invested, and he has that deep love of his character, and I admire that.
Yeah, he's almost like Mark Hamill, who kind of really... Because, they kind of have a very similar thing, don't they? Mm-hmm. Where they are very much known. Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker. He's not, unfortunately, known for much else. Yes, he's done a lot else, a lot of voice acting and such. I give him full credit for that. But Hayden's kind of in that same boat where that character has really defined his entire career, and he's kind of embraced to that, especially now that the fans have really embraced him. It's
Absolutely.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, I have another piece of news today for Thor, for you specifically. I know you were really disappointed in that Hasbro pack that was coming out. When we talked about it a couple days ago, the super battle droid that came with a C-3PO.
With a B-1 battle droid with the 3PO head on it, yeah.
And you were really disappointed because it doesn't come with the B-1 head. It just...
Yeah, which was the dumbest thing Hasbro's done since the last dumb thing they did.
Don't worry. They fixed it. We're presenting the Nothing But Battle Droid Heads pack from Hasbro.
Yes, Passport showed me this earlier today, so
Yeah,
he's already ruined it for you.
Well, it's not real yet, but it could be.
But it should be. Someday it will be. Someday
Somebody
all
out
the
there with a
battle droid
3D
heads.
printer is like, I could make
Hey,
this happen.
you know what? That's a good idea actually.
Somebody
Somebody
with
needs
a-
to just
yeah,
start printing off those
Printing
heads
off
and
heads.
color matching, and you're golden.
You are. It's perfect.
Yeah,
When I saw this, I knew you needed to know about it.
yeah. I mean, that's about how many I would have ordered if they would have.
It's a lot. Of
It is.
droids.
That's a lot. That's what, 15 of them? Yeah, it's 15 in
boy.
there.
Yeah,
I would
it
have.
is.
You know me.
Unfortunately,
Yes, bit of an army builder.
just a bit.
But no, such a dumb move on their part.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
It's like, God.
Another fun piece of news today is the Marvel What If Season 2 that's coming released the list of the What If titles for the next episode. Because remember, they're releasing one a day, starting on the 22nd and ending on the 30th.
Okay.
I hate to say this, I wasn't a fan of Season 1 of the What If.
It was fine.
I mean, yeah, I like What If stories and stuff, but I really didn't like the animation style, personally.
I don't know if that was what I didn't like as much as just like there was kind of like a half-hour thing. It was a very hard, like I like a good what if story that's kind of like a replacement for the real story, quote unquote.
I
know what I'm
I
saying?
get you.
So when you get like a half hour, it's just kind of like a tease of something else. But they weren't bad, but they weren't great.
I think that they could have done better. I mean, with
Yeah.
the what ifs, like you said, I mean, you get to take what ifs with a grain of salt because obviously they didn't happen. It's a what if they happened and they didn't.
Yeah.
So there. I don't know which episode I'm looking forward to the most ish. Maybe what if Hela found the 10 rings?
Okay.
I don't know. Which one's your...
Just looking at the list, it's got to be Avengers Assembled in 1602. Sure, why not?
Why not? I want to see Iron Man's suit.
It's going to be like
1602.
it's going to be literal Iron Man in terms of like, well, I mean, not that everybody was rocking the knights and shining armor type in the 1602, but
I'm curious if they're going to be trying to carry forward some of the storyline because they had a converging story thing in season 1, or if season 2 will have its own conjoining storyline thing, or if these are literally this time all going to be just separate stories that won't
I mean, looking
involve
at them,
Ultron and
yeah, and zombies and everything else that they did.
yeah, because didn't it culminate with some like Ultron getting like super powerful and getting trapped in time forever with Killmonger Black Panther?
I think so.
Something like that, I recall.
Yeah.
But yep, it's coming. Everyone,
Get
season
excited.
2 starts shortly.
A couple days.
The same day as Rebel Moon will be hitting Netflix, and we can see if the hype was worth it. Rotten Tomatoes has been disagreeing with that.
There are a lot of reviews that say it's not so good.
Yeah, I'm sad.
Well, I mean, reviews are what they are. Well,
They are.
We'll watch
We'll
it.
see
We'll
what
see.
we think.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone goes into it their own way, and we'll see how we go into it and come out the other side.
Yeah. All right, but for now, that's all we got for you this time. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.